Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello everybody, welcome and thanks for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We continue our look back at our 10 years of covering Section 5 sports, and we begin with a bowler from 2012. Here's Bill Punko.
And at number one, we have Kara Mangiola. Greece Odyssey Bowling. Kara carries a County League best 215 average, which beats most of the boys, too. There are numbers which resonate within every sport. In bowling, of course, 300 is a perfect game. Then there is the more elusive 800 series, 3 consecutive games averaging 267 or better. Greece Odyssey coach Jim Pike has 6 perfect games on his resume, but he's never bowled an 800 series. 16-year-old Kara Mangiola has. She scored both the 800 series and her first 300 game within 2 weeks of each other.
I bowled it a couple weeks ago, my 300, and it was definitely nerve-wracking. A lot of people watch you when you bowl a 300, and everyone has to stop, but they cheer you on, which helps you a lot. And then 8 days later, I shot at Clover Lanes. I shot a 258, 279, and a 279 for my 800 series.
The 800 series is a lot more impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because you have to, 300 is just one game, and then 800s, especially adjusting throughout like 3 games, so it's a lot more nerve-wracking too, just to know that you have to go to get 3 games instead of 1.
It doesn't take a trained eye to appreciate the precision of her perfect stroke, or the results it produces.
There's times that I sit back and say, I wished I could throw the ball that good. It is. You do. You sit back and you just watch her and watch her and watch her and how consistent she is, and know that, you know, if she makes one bad shot, she's not letting it get to her, where sometimes people do let that get to them. And it is. It's something special to watch her bowl.
Aaron Regnet is the best male bowler on the Greece Odyssey team with a 195 average, but he knows he can't compete with Kara.
Every time we go bowling, the girls' team outdoes the guys' team, so we kind of gotten used to it. There's no gender competition there.
Plus, she's pretty special, isn't she?
She is. She's very amazing.
Do you find yourself trying to compete a little bit with her in terms of the scores you put up?
Yes, in a way that it's always bad. It's great to push yourself, and I like to push myself, but not really. It's not really competitive on our team. It's more of reassuring each other and kind of like a family.
Mangiola carries a 215 average. 2 weeks ago, she came away with the top series at the bi-weekly Monroe County bowling meets, girls or boys. Just this Monday, her 2-game 475 series, 38 pins below her season's best, was second only to Greece Athena's Matt Wallace. And Kara admits to keeping her eyes on the guys.
I definitely compare myself to my friends too that are good bowlers, a lot of the guys, and in tournaments I do that too, but I definitely look at the guys' scores and see where I stand against them.
And generally finds she likes what she sees.
Well, I started when I was about 3, and then I just worked my way up. I used to push the ball actually with 2 hands, and then I finally got to fingertip. And my dad he teaches me a lot, and then tournaments and leagues and everything, just mostly progress and going to all different tournaments and just shooting different shots.
Did you take right to it?
Yeah, definitely. My dad was mostly my help though, because he's a really good bowler himself, and he just helped me along the way.
Kara Mangiola starts on the PWBA Tour next month, taking her skills to the sport's highest level. She bowled her 7th 300th game last month, along with back-to-back 800 series. Congrats to Kara on making her dream of a professional career come true. Well, coming up next, Matt Trabold joins us for the High School Notebook. We've got that and more on the High School Sports Beat. Returns. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, and that, of course, means it is time for Matt Trabold to join us. Matt, thanks for hopping on board.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, let's talk some hoops. Let's talk girls, and, it's like the more it changes, the more it stays the same. Let's talk about the Mendon girls.
With the state playoffs last season being canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Section 5's lone defending state champion in basketball is Pittsford Mendon Girls Hoops. A couple big names on the current Vikings had big roles back then on that 2019 championship squad. Obviously, Division I Cornell commit Lexi Green. She was second on the team in scoring back then, even as an underclassman, only behind a current D1 player at Merrimack and Alana Fersman. Danielle Stroff as well. Her clutch three with 7 seconds left as a freshman helped Mendon survive the Far West Regionals that season. Honestly, I think the current team is deeper than that one for Todd Julian and his staff. Another junior, Nia Coleman, rounds out their main trio this year. She already has D1 offers from Chicago State, Siena, North Dakota, and Elena Deladonu, the Delaware Blue Hens. Such a deep rotation when you also have Captain Ellen Henry, Kate Hennessy, Caroline Miller, Bridget Miller, out-of-state transfer Lily Kennedy, among others. Going back to Danny Stroff, quick again, she is one of the very best perimeter defenders this section has right now.
Let's talk boys hoops now, and a couple teams heading into the playoffs that are peaking at the right time, SOTA and Monroe.
Class A1 in boys hoops had its own pleasant surprise in the standings this regular season, with Jackson, Kulik, and Webster Thomas entering sectional play as the 2 seed. But right now, like you mentioned a second ago, I'm going to highlight a pair of teams among the top 3 seeds in Class A2. After going 4-17 last season, the Monroe Red Jackets, Matthew McCormick's squad there, won 8 of its 10 ball games this go around. Good for the number 2 seed. Their biggest asset this season is arguably being able to put both Amarion Johnson and Jameer Speed out at the perimeter and having them get hot, hitting from deep. It also happens clutch times late. They've shown that this year. Plus, the final senior captain on the squad, Ezekiel Williams, competes so much taller than his 5'5" height. And then to a lesser degree in the surprise department, because the program won sectionals in 2015 behind Christian Simmons, you have the School of the Arts Silverhawks and head coach Al Nash. They were the number 3 seed this year after posting their best winning percentage in a few years. They are again led by the now senior trio of Kevion Mitchell, Reggie Smith, and especially Ethan Clark D'Souza. That trio has been impressing in this area for many years in a row. I feel like I've been putting them in highlights for year after year after year now, and that's just the reality of it.
All right, let's go now from hardwoods to hockey and talk about Spencerport and the Rangers on the rink.
The rink indeed. The last 3 seasons have been a much more successful span for the Spencerport ice hockey program than the seasons directly prior. After multiple years at the bottom of the Section 5 Division III standings, the Rangers exploded to the top of the standings for the 2018-2019 season. Then the program was the 2 seed for sectionals last year after going 17-3 during the regular season. This regular season here in 2021 also had a good deal of success with leadership from a lot of familiar names that have guided the program through this golden era of Spencerport puck. The Rangers have done well after graduating Luke Fideli, Jason Ubelacker, Rachel Brazzi in net, and Mark New. AJ Gianavola led Section 5 in scoring last year, and he's having a strong senior campaign. There's bigger contribution this time through from Chris Hammerly and especially Ryan Plouffe. They are 5th and 2nd in points this whole Section 5 campaign, all the teams respectively. It is only fitting that the first round sectional matchup for them this year is against the Canandaigua Braves program they played in the semifinals last year.
All right, Matt, great stuff as always. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, we're back with more of the High School Sports Beat right after this. Coming up next, this week's Making the Grade nominee, and later it's East versus West when Eastridge battles Irondequoit on the gridiron. We'll have that when High School Sports Beat returns. Welcome back. Thanks for watching the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. Making the grade this week is Canandaigua's Dominic Spychalski, a junior with the Braves soccer and hockey teams. Dom has excelled in the classroom and on the field. Dom was the top scorer for varsity soccer and the Monroe County second team selection. On the ice, Dom is an excellent player, scoring 16 points last year as a sophomore and 23 in this abbreviated season, while carrying a 95 average in school. For being an outstanding young man, team captain, and top student this week, Dominic Spychalski is making the grade. Now, if you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them in to mtg@rocksportsnow.com. And now here's some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in our Section 5 Spotlight. The indoor track season wrapped up with sectionals last week. McQuaid won the boys' Class A1 title, while Victor took home the girls' crown. In A2, the boys of Newark hoisted the brick, while the girls of Palmac took home the A2 title. In A3, the Marion boys were the big winners, and the Honeoye girls were number 1 in A3. Coming up next, a football showdown in Irondequoit, when the High School Sports Beat continues.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We flash back now to September of 2015, an early season showdown of East meets West. Here's Bill Pucko.
They're not supposed to play high school football games like this early, but they did. Our Dunkin' Donuts All-Sport High School Game of the Week is in Irondequoit, where East met West. It's the kind of football game that did not need a build-up. The intertown football rivalry is red hot.
We talked to our guys that this is almost playoff atmosphere on week 1. It's hard to replicate a playoff game right away, but this is as close as we're going to get.
Irondequoit knocked the two-time defending sectional champion Lancers out of the tournament semifinal round last year on the way to their own championship.
This is a great rivalry. It's been for a long time. That's a good football team across the way.
Hey, it was a great watershed year for you guys last season. Are you really looking forward to building on that?
Yeah, the kids are excited. The community's excited. We're ready to get it going.
Eastridge got the ball first and produced a statement-making drive. C.J. Turner, with the game's very first carry, picked up 14 yards. He and quarterback Bobby Albritton make a formidable pair. Albritton to Turner in the flat for another 25-yard gain. On the very next play, Jake Tyroski picked up the touchdown, capping a 10-play, 66-yard drive. It was 7-0 Lancers. It was Irondequoit's turn. Senior Christopher DeCesar is listed at 5'7", but he runs big, picking up 14 yards for the Eagles. Then converting a drive-saving 4th and 2, it's Tyree Peace with a 3-yard gain. That made a field goal attempt possible. One of the section's best, senior Daniel Tett, made it a 7-3 game. Still, Irondequoit needed to demonstrate an ability to stop the Lancers. On their second possession, they drove 74 yards for another score. Curtis June scored the game's second touchdown to make it a 13-3 contest with 2:26 still left in the first quarter. Heading into the second quarter, Irondequoit began to get the hang of defensing Eastridge. A big play occurred when senior linebacker Connor Oakes stopped Albritton for an 11-yard loss. The Eagles had back-to-back stops.
How important was that play, do you think?
I think it was a huge play. After that, I could definitely see we were in control at that point.
Irondequoit's offense fed off the team, and the Eagles pieced together a late first half 71-yard drive. Big number 58, Cameron Rohr, normally an interior lineman, drove for a 21-yard gain. DeCesar wound up in the end zone after a 10-yard pickup. Irondequoit was down just 13-10 as the game reached halftime.
You guys are really pulling your weight tonight. You guys are already stepping in, bullets are flying, right? We're gonna run from the fire or run to the fire? That's what we're gonna do.
They're scared. They are scared because you kept coming after them, kept coming after them, kept coming after them. They're gonna have to come up with a whole lot more in the second half, and they just don't have enough guys. They have great players, but not enough of them.
Right? We have the ball. We have the ball. How about this? We drive all the way down, we score, they go down, and we crush them on defense. Let's go, boys. All right?
Irondequoit got the ball first in the second half, and just 2 plays in, DeCesar got loose. For 55 yards, just 50 seconds into the third quarter, the Eagles had their first lead of the game, 17-13.
It was a 45. I took a left or a right jab, and I looked up. I cut in, and then I cut out, and then I saw open field. And I just kept running. I didn't look back.
Eastridge, meanwhile, found itself without the services of starting quarterback Al Britton for the second half, and fellow junior Justin Durleth was intercepted by Irondequoit's Daniel Harris, killing the Lancers' first possession. The next time, they kept it on the ground, and Curtis June broke off the game's biggest play. A senior who played for Irondequoit last season went 73 yards for a touchdown against them to give the lead back to Eastridge.
I was at Irondequoit, then we ended up moving here with my mom. She bought a house, and we went back at Eastridge. It's been a tough road, but here to stay.
That's kind of weird. I mean, and then you wind up with the biggest play of the game against a team that you won a championship with.
That's very weird. I mean, I had to forget about them for this game, and they're my enemies, but at the end of the game, they have my heart.
It was 2017 Lancers as the game moved into the fourth quarter. With Al Britton still out with a cramp, Jake Tronowski found himself carrying the ball more, adding a power element to the Eastridge attack, and Durleth settled in at quarterback. What was the situation in that, they decided they had to go to you in the second half of a pretty tight game?
The first string quarterback had a cramp, and I saw that, so I knew I had to warm up, and the coaches let me know, and then I just went in and I did my thing.
Turner scored a touchdown, this time from 29 yards out, to all but put it away with 4:03 left, 26-13. You and the quarterback early on, 1 and 2, you carry the ball almost exclusively. Is that the plan too?
It's teamwork again. Whatever works right now. I mean, everybody's a playmaker on that team. We have athletes at all positions. Bobby, number 2, he cramped up today, but I guarantee you'll see a lot better from him next week.
Faced with having to pass, Irondequoit quarterback Sean Mannion was picked off by Rashad Smith. Biggest game of the first week of the football season was in the books. 33-17, Eastridge defeats Irondequoit.
We'd like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5. If you have a story you'd like to share with us, let us know. Send an email to rocksportsnow@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, be safe, and we'll see you here next week for more of the High School Sports Beat.